Hello, everyone, and welcome to Week 12. It's the Indy Open. It's the iRacing Indy Open Series. It's Murph, and it's Jacob Collins. The oval commentary specialist, Kyle Clinworth, has gone down to join him on the racetrack. And Collins, we've got a championship battle brewing here tonight. We have a strong field, 47.05. We've got some heavy hitters, Adam Blocker, Jason Brophy, Kyle Clinworth. In addition to the normal suspects, we've got Kevin Burrell and Nick Sudik, the two Fiercely Ford teammates. They're battling for a championship. It's going to be a fun night, Mr. Collins.
Yeah, it's always fun when you get down to the end of these things and still have a championship bout coming to the end of the season here. So it'll be interesting to see how the short oval is recording it, even though I'm not a huge fan of calling anything bigger than like a mile a short track. But we'll see how it turns out here.
100%. Kevin Burrell does lead those points. We did not realize it was this close. Jacob. It is only 70 markers between Kevin and Nick, and really, when you think about it, that's not all that much, given there's drop weeks involved and so on and so forth. There's also Nick Sudik, well known as a very, very, very good oval racer. Kevin Burrell, one of the best in the iRacing INDYCAR community. If he does have a challenge, though, Collins, it's oval tracks, and so Kevin might be behind a little bit when it comes to tonight, so we'll see. And we don't know what the drops are, and so there is a championship battle for first. Logan Edwards will not have any challenge from Hamilton Akabuezi because Hamilton is not here for that bottom step of the podium. Alan Berteau is not. Yes, Alan Berteau is in the field, as is Alexander Miller. Caleb Brashear is here. So most of our top 10 in the points are here. Going to be interesting to see, Jacob, exactly how this works out. But enough about points, because nobody wants to talk about points racing. Tell us about the strategy here, Jacob. What do you think it's going to take to win this race tonight?
Well, I think the thing that kind of always comes true at these short tracks is you want to maximize the amount of fuel you have in the tank on a longer run. Tends to be sometime during the pit sequence, something tends to go wrong here. It's really hard to get pit in and pit out perfect every time here. We saw it a couple weeks ago. Oval fixed at Iowa, where all three of our road racing entries missed the pit lane in some fashion and nearly brought out a yellow. So a lot can happen in that pit sequence. So the longer you could stay out and prevent yourself from maybe going a lap or two laps down here, that's probably going to be the biggest thing coming into the race.
For certain, sure. The one thing that challenges people here at Gateway is the pit in and pit out. So you see the warm-up lanes in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You've got to go all the way down that warm-up lane, getting into the pit lane. You actually enter before you get to turn 3. That is extremely slippery, and there's always one person that spins out down there. Same way with getting off a pit lane. It is very, very difficult just because there's a complete lack of grip on cold tires on that warm-up lane, and so it seems that like every time we're here, there's always one person that spins getting on or coming off a pit road, and that can change the complexion of the entire race. Speaking of the entire race, though, Mr. Collins, we are just about ready to have us one of those races.
One last hurrah at the old scan, one last hurrah in this version of the IndyCar for the INDYCAR Open Series.
It is indeed. Count them down, and we'll get the starting grid up momentarily. On the pole with a lap of 186.365 miles an hour, it's Adam Blocker. Nick Sudik will join him to his outside. Kevin Burrell, well, he'll start third right next to oval impresario Jason Brophy in fourth. It's going to be Olivia Hayward in fifth. Alan Berteau will start sixth. Rashad Kegg and Caleb Brashear, they're going to start seventh and eighth. Matt Taylor and Matt Hollybaugh, pair of Matts on row 5. They'll start ninth and 10th. In 11th, how about Seb Alexander? Jeremy Miguel is going to go 12th. Ty Keela, he'll roll 13th. Logan Edwards, 14th. Robin Glakis, Uncle Rob, he'll start 15th. David Hinger, 16th. On row 9, Kyle Clinworth and Olivier Simonu, they're going to be making up the tail end of the 18-car field here in the Indy Open Series finale from Gateway. I got to think, just looking at that, either the Indy Alliance and Rogue Racing cars did not put a lot of effort into qualifying, or I don't know. Either they didn't put a lot of effort into the qualifying, Collins, or they might be at a speed deficit here.
I know they were spending a lot more time trying to figure out race trim. The practice session I think they were in was probably a bit hotter than we're kind of expected to see come through the end of this race. They were suspecting that if it was a colder track that they might have some issues. But I don't know if there was a ton of qualifying running. You know, it sounded like there was discussions of what setup were we even supposed to run for qualifying. So it was probably a last minute kind of pick something and hope it sticks. But hopefully they could charge their way through the front here.
Absolutely. Speaking of that weather, it is very chilly here at Gateway. 75 degrees on the track, 80 or 75 in the air, 83 on the track. If you ever got a day like this in St. Louis in the summer, please call me. That would be heavenly. It is usually very, very hot here at Gateway. That's why they typically run this race at night. The field is pulling away under the control of the iRacing pace car, and pole sitter Adam Blocker will get the weather out of here and get ready for 128 laps. That works out to what, Jacob, about 190 miles, close to 200 maybe?
Well, it's a mile and a quarter, so yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Call it 225 kilometers, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get a number on that for you.
Something like that. I'm not good at math. Clindy is the mathematician around here. You know that. I am not one of the mathematical arts, Collins. You've also been privy to some of my pit road mistakes because I don't do math. There's the field. They're going down the backstretch. I wonder, Jacob, I wonder if they're going to do the thing here where they do the fireworks at the end of this one. That would be cool.
It looks like we got about a 256 kilometer special here tonight. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some fireworks to round out this season off.
We'll call it a 250. Here comes Adam Blocker. Barney's got the green flag in the air. The race is on. Blocker's going to lead him off into turn number 1. He'll be followed by Sadiq, Brophy, Burrell, and Bruteau.
Very quick single file coming into turn 1 there. So it's going to be basically a battle of who can get it lined up heading into 3.
All the cars safely through turns 1 and 2 down the back, and they're already working through 3 and 4. It is a fast lap here, Jacob.
Yeah, those straightaways are very long and the corners are very tight, relatively speaking. So a lot of that time's being made up on those straightaways. Kind of drives like flat Darlington or a flatter Motegi, as we've kind of coined it over the years. So be interesting to see how that kind of plays out over the course of this opening run here.
Yeah, it does. And we're looking in on the top. On the top 3. That's Jason Brophy. He is running in 3rd. Nick Sudik is 2nd. The lead currently held by Adam Blocker. 18 cars on the track. Uncle Rob and Glakis, he fell back from his starting spot. Uncle Rob all the way back to last. Kyle Clinworth, though, he's proven to be worth the price of admission in the starting shotgun in that last row. He's already made it up 3 spots.
He's definitely one to spend no time waiting to set up a pass. He's going to go for it as soon as he thinks he has it and start working his way to the next one.
Yes, he is. Other battles on the track. That is Rashad Craig. He's pulling up on the back of Caleb Brashear. He's got Matt Taylor to his inside. Now, talk to me a little bit, Jacob, about the preferred line here. Do you want to be up top? Do you want to be on the bottom? Kind of what are we looking at here in terms of where you want to be?
Well, I would suspect it's probably a case of why not both. I think there's instances in which the top's preferable, instances in which the bottom's preferable. You'll kind of see it change end to end, maybe depending on how your car is set up. You know, we kind of have more variables in play with that. Maybe some people have set up to run a higher lane in 3 and 4, run a lower lane in 3 and 4. You know, as we kind of see Rashad run a bit lower to the bottom, trying to get clean air on his front wing. It's probably also just as much dependent on the cars in front of you and where they're driving as well.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And there goes Rashad. He is one of the few guys that is running all the way down at the bottom in turns number 1 and 2. That is the short way around. But kind of one of the quirks of this track, as it was scanned. And here's Logan Edwards. He's going to go to the inside of Seb Alexander, put Logan up to 12th, move Seb back to 13th. When you talk about this track and this scan, if you look at turns 1 and 2, you can't really see it from this shot. But if we jump on board with Logan Edwards here, You'll notice when we get back to turns 1 and 2 race fans, it is not, the banking is not even. It is very flat on the bottom. And then there's a seam, and there's banking up toward the top. It's progressively banked, but not intentionally. How's that, Jacob?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to realize it until you get into the corner too, right? Like we want to talk about places like even Milwaukee, right, where like there's still a slight banking to it, but it looks pretty flat up until about the moment you're in the corner. So it's definitely something that catches a lot of people out here, especially in 1 and 2, where it's a wide corner, but that wall off turn 2 exit kind of jumps at you and scares you a little bit the first couple times you make it, but it's probably one of the most satisfying corner combinations to hit on the ovals in the service.
It is indeed. When you get that corner right, you can really rock it down the backstretch, and it sets up a pass. If you can get to somebody's inside in turns 3 and 4, you can almost call it job done. Speaking of a guy calling it job done, here's Caleb Brashear. He is working on the back of Matt Taylor, the pair of Matts, Matt Hollybaugh, Matt Taylor, and they are looking up the road at Olivia Hayward. Ohay is running 6th, but she's got 2 fast Matts right behind her. The lead is Adam Blocker, and he has pulled that out to over 1.1 seconds over Nick Sadiq. Jason Brophy 3rd, Kevin Burrell doing what he needs to do to sew up that championship in 4th.
That's one of those things, too, you'll see on a lot of these shorter ovals is more road guys kind of show their chops here. You know, we've got Burrell and Berteau, who are probably a bit better known for their road course prowess. But these shorter ovals, a lot of cases, you know, ones like this, New Hampshire, Iowa to some extent, right, is the corner rhythm is very much like that of a road course where you're kind of hitting distinct corners as opposed to corner pairs as most ovals tend to be. So it's always good to see how some of those skills and the strengths transfer between those track types.
Yes, it is. Right on board with Matt Hollybaugh. He's going to get that big run off the middle groove. He's going to go drop to the inside of Olivia Hayward. Let's move Matt Hollybaugh into... Whoa, he got on the curb. Holy Moses. Matt Hollybaugh gets on the curb and just about trashes that race car, Jacob. He's going to lose the spot to Matt Taylor, so put Taylor to 7th, Hollybaugh to 8th, and that's something you got to be careful of here, isn't it?
Well, yeah, there's not really an apron here to hit like a lot of ovals, too, so that's kind of the apron bad of this track, right, is that curb on the inside lane will kind of upset the car that little bit, kind of pick it up, try to pitch it, turn it around on you if you get a little too aggressive riding on it.
Yes, indeed. Here's a power slide on Fiercely Ford Duel. It's Nick Sadiq in the P1 Docks Fiercely Ford machine. He's got Jason Brophy in close attendance all over the backside of the Fiercely Ford car. Sadiq moves toward the bottom. That's going to force Brophy to take the high line through the corner. But Sadiq seems to have a little bit of a handling issue going through 3 and 4. He's running quite a bit of a higher line, and that's letting Jason Brophy get a huge run down the front stretch. Sadiq, though, claims the top line going through 1 and 2, and that's how you hold somebody off at Gateway. If you can get up on the top, it is very difficult for somebody to pass you.
Yeah, because so much of that exit speed's reliant on kind of being able to wash out to the wall, and when you kind of pinch somebody to the bottom through the corner, it's very hard for them to get that extra momentum off the corner.
Yes, it is. We're going to get on the we'll get in the car of Jason Brophy. We'll ride around with the rapid pilot of the number 3, and you can kind of see it as he goes down the straightaway. Watch Nick Sadiq. Sadiq is a good 2/3 of a car width up on entry. Sadiq brings it low, but Brophy's going to get a great run down the front. He's going to have nowhere to go with it, though, when he gets to turn 1.
That's also kind of just a gauging thing, right? We're early in this race here still. We're not even a quarter of the way to the finish here. So, you know, finding out where you can get your car to run to maybe set up a pass down the straightaway, get your car far enough alongside that it's difficult to fight you off through the corner is kind of where you want to be come the end of the race, you know. And it's entirely possible he's just trying to gauge if he can keep his car in an alternative lane as we see him hop to the inside down the backstretch here. I'm wondering if maybe he's just trying to get an idea of how what's it going to take for him to get that extra momentum he needs off the corners.
Yeah, he is. He's trying to get to the bottom of Nick Sadiq. Here he goes. He's going to have the bottom through turns 3 and 4. Sadiq all the way out next to the wall. Really close for Sadiq. I don't think he got it, Jacob. He got really close, but now Brophy is trapped on that inside. We'll see if he can clear him. He cannot, so keep P2 for Nick Sadiq one more time. Other battles on the track. Logan Edwards has been working on Guillermo Miguel for about, I don't know, 10 laps or so. He has not been able to get the job done for the Luke Mansky Motorsports machine. Just hasn't quite been able to get it. But Logan Edwards, he's trying. He's trying to get it. He is currently 12th. He's working on 11th. And there you see the disparity in line. So what he's going to want to do, Jacob, get this massive run, get to the bottom. Can't quite make it.
No, and that's just one of those things that it's so hard at a lot of these tracks, right, of having to bide your time and kind of wait for the car in front of you to make a mistake, find your way through their misfortune sometimes to make passes, especially because unlike stock cars, we don't really have bumpers to move people. The bump and run doesn't really exist when there's no bump to run.
Yeah, there's no way to bump. And so you need to be really careful around other cars, and we saw that last night in the Dark Horse DW12 race here on the P1 Broadcasting channel. I was actually battling for the lead with Edson Santos. Edson, he got up high off of turn number 2. The car kind of wiggled with him. I was a good half a car length away from him and got net coated and nearly ended my night. So you do need to be careful and cognizant of that, right? Especially in these cars and the speeds they're traveling. Jason Brophy has finally managed to work around Nick Sudik. We were looking at Olivia Hayward because she was fixing to battle with Rashad Craig over that 9th spot. Meanwhile, Sudik and Brophy continue to go at it hammer and tong. Brophy is going to have the better of that battle. But meanwhile, the Dark Knight, Adam Blocker, has sauntered away 2.5 seconds.
Clean air is king. I will repeat, clean air is king. It's one of the many things that I've learned kind of even in the Road to Indy ladder on road courses, right? Is you get out to the front and you're able to control the field off the launch, get a good launch. And especially on tracks where you can't really mount a huge charge on either straightaway, it's really easy to kind of get out in front and start hitting your marks really early, and without anybody kind of hunting you down, riding your coattails, it's pretty easy going. It's another Monday night drive.
I'll tell you who has been making those moves despite the lack of opportunity on the straights. That's Matt Taylor. He started 9th in this thing. He's up to 5th, and he's pulled right onto the back of Kevin Burrell in the Fiercely Ford machine. The championship leader is under fire from Matt Taylor. A little bit further back, Alan Bruteau, Caleb Brashear, and Matt Hollybaugh. That's Hollybaugh, Brashear, and Bruteau, 6th, 7th, and 8th. They're in a pretty good scrap for those spots. One of the cars that started to come forward early and has not really moved, that would be Clindy. He started 17th. He's made it to 14th from the back row, but just really not really been able to come forward. He's about 10 seconds off the lead, and he's got Seb Alexander right in front of him. Neither one of those cars have really started to move.
It's also one of those things, too, that as the run progresses, the gaps between cars starts to get a bit bigger here, right? We see that, Kyle's about a half second off of Seb. Seb's about a second off the car in front of him. There's those gaps kind of get bigger and bigger as the course of the run, as the tires start to fall off, and it gets harder to kind of follow in people's tire tracks that little bit that you might need to gain the most speed through the corners, especially on exit, trying to get the draft down the straightaways. So it's a long con to try to get your way to the front here, and there's passing the smart way and there's passing the hard way, and maybe we'll see some guys towards the back of the field make up some spots through the pit cycle.
That is very true. Speaking of that pit cycle, what do we anticipate for that here? We are 29 laps, about to get lap 30 into a scheduled 128. You're watching Caleb Brashear as he works on the back of Matt Hollybaugh. This is the battle for 6. Hollybaugh has it. Brashear wants it. Bruteau has fallen back into the clutches of Rashad Craig, and I would expect Craig to make that move momentarily. There he goes, actually, to the inside. There's Rashad. He's all the way down on the bottom, but I think the handling has definitely gone away on the 13 of Alan Bruteau because Rashad Craig closed him down rather rapidly. Logan Edwards is still back there, too, working on Guillermo Miguel. There he is. Rashad Craig, though, does get by Alan Bruteau, so move Rashad Craig up to 8th spot. We are working at lap 31 of 128 here at Gateway on the P1 Broadcasting Network. It is currently this man right here, Adam Blocker. He is leading by 2.7 seconds over Jason Brophy. The fastest lap of the race, though, was just turned by Nick Sudik, and that's an odd one, Jacob, given the length that we are into this run and tires mattering as much as they do.
Well, it could also be one of those things where he's got his car dialed in to do a bit of a longer run. He may still have a bit of a draft off of Brophy in front of him, too, so that might help him down the straights, get a little bit more speed. He might be one of the only cars holding a toe that well. So it'll be interesting to see if that continues to kind of remain consistent, because his follow-up lap was only 300 slower than that. So it's entirely possible he's found something deeper in the run where he thinks it's going to matter more here. And maybe he'll have something towards the end of this race if we have longer green runs.
Maybe Sudik is the fastest car on the speedway right now. He just did a 24.665. He's about a tenth quicker than your leader Adam Blocker, and he started to reel in Jason Brophy one more time. Meanwhile, Matt Taylor, you see the MadWorks car, and you cannot miss that car. You cannot miss that machine. Matt Taylor has pulled it into fourth, and he is working on closing in on Nick Sudik as well. Those two cars are the only ones in the 24.6 range. Everybody else is in the 7s or 8s. We've got some cars now that have slipped into the 25-second bracket. Matt Hollybaugh being one of those, although he's working Caleb Brashear over pretty hard right here. But they've got to be careful, because those two are going to fall into the clutches of Rashad Craig if they're not careful.
Yeah, that's the thing you have to negotiate too, right? Is as much as you want the position on the guy in front of you, the more you guys kind of fight for that one spot, the more that one spot turns into 2, turns to 3, into 4 of other cars catching and passing you. So you kind of got to play nice, play smart, know when to kind of fight the battle and know when it's over.
Yeah, picking your battles here is huge. Alan Berteau seems to have picked the qualifying battle, but not the race battle. He is sunk back through the field like a rock. There's Olivia Hayward. She is very cautiously trying to pick her way around the Berteau machine, not wanting to interfere with with one of the guys that is pretty high up into the championship standings. Meanwhile, behind them, Logan Edwards continues to battle hard with Guillermo Miguel. Still has not made that move, although I think Logan pops out at least once a lap. We also have a battle for 14th. That's Uncle Robin Glakis. He's going to try to drop to the inside of Clindy to pick up a spot, go from 15th to 14th. Meanwhile, back at the front, Jacob, Nick Sudik has closed all the way back onto the gearbox of Jason Brophy. He at one point had dropped into the clutches of Kevin Burrell. The general was looking at taking a podium spot. Since then, Sudik has turned up the wick. He has caught Jason Brophy. He is also, Burrell has also surrendered fourth to Matt Taylor. Taylor, though, seems to have fallen off the pace. Nothing going away on the pace for Sudik, though. He's pulled back into third, and he's looking for second.
Yeah, maybe it just took 20 or so laps for that car to kind of finally get into its groove, hit its stride. We've seen that in a number of cases on short ovals, even basically regardless of the car, right? Is sometimes it just takes a really long time for those tires to roll into a solid window. And if you've got it set up to take, 20 or 30 laps to get those tires in that window, that the durability of your set tends to help out in races like this, where you can get that long green run and mount the charge on people who maybe went for a shorter speed run car, like we see Brophy under attack here.
Brophy's able to hold off Sudik with that high line, and so Jason Brophy will retain second one more time through. This is not only the battle for second, it's the best battle on the race course. Everybody else has kind of fallen out of contact. Olivia Hayward's still working on Alan Berteau. Jeremy Miguel is right there. Let's pop back to 9th, 10th, and 11th, because Miguel is just getting by Hayward, and now Seb Alexander looks like he wants to take a shot at O'Hay as well. Hayward's going to come to the pits. Logan Edwards has received a black flag, too fast, entering pit lane, and so pit stops have started. Lap 43 of 128, and this would be the cars that I believe would be just dividing this into 3 segments. This is exactly a third distance. We think they can go a little bit further than this, though.
And it looks like there might have been some net code between Logan Edwards and Jeremy Miguel that put Edwards in the wall, and then I believe Edwards might have come back around with a missing right front tire and sped into the pit lane. So that is probably day done for Mr. Edwards.
There you go. That would be day done for Logan Edwards. Meanwhile, the battle rages for second. It's Sadiq in third, Jason Brophy in second. Adam Blocker long gone now, 3.2 seconds ahead of this battle. Sadiq has the draft. He's going to try it one more time into turn number 1.
He's got the car, the nose still in front on exit. That's usually a decent sign. We'll see if he can stay alongside Brophy down the back here into 3 and 4 and remount the charge down the front straightaway.
Yeah, now if you notice, Sadiq did not go all the way to the bottom through turns 1 and 2. Brophy pulls the switch back. He's going to try to cut back and get under Sadiq going into turn 1. He's going to be there, but we've seen that Sadiq is able to hang tough on the top. Sadiq way up high. Doesn't quite have it. Brophy pulls up in front. Sadiq has to check up. And that's all this has allowed Matt Taylor to close right back in on the rear wing of Nick Sadiq for third.
And you've got to wonder if maybe there was a slight bit of wing contact between Sadiq and Brophy following that clear. It's kind of hard to tell given our angle of it, but looks like his car may be clean. Just a big checkup got Taylor back by him, so we'll have to see how that shapes up coming through the rest of this run here.
We do need to see how that's going to shape up because Matt Taylor was 0.4 of a second quicker than Jason Brophy the last time through. He was the fastest machine on the racetrack. He's the only car that is under the lap times being set by Adam Blocker as we work lap 48 of 128 here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. Do want to thank everybody who is tuned in to the Indy Open Series here on P1. If you haven't already done so, make sure you give the video a like and ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. We are providing these as a service to the community, and so doing those things only helps to move us up the YouTube algorithm. That algorithm game is not easy, but it does help us move up in that pecking order and get more eyes right here on these great iRacing drivers. Shane Coker is Matt Taylor in the Batmobile. I don't know, it's not as colorful as his normal livery that we see. Jason Brophy, he's going to drop to the pit lane, lap number 49. And so I would think that we've seen Ohei on pit road, of course. She dropped 2 laps down. Logan Edwards is still on pit lane under repair. It would seem to me Brophy being the first one of the heavy hitters to come into the pit lane. Does this open the floodgates, or are these guys going to try to stay as long as they can? Here comes Sadiq. Here comes Taylor.
I think that's floodgate open. I think that the race is kind of going to get divided into thirds. That's typically how we see these oval races pan out in the Open Series here. That's kind of the gauge, the mark that I believe iRacing is kind of in the community's going for here, is they want a 2-stopper out of these. So that's right where we are right about now.
That would be so. You get 2 stops, and the second one might be you might have a half stop. There's some kind of strategy that's able to be played in there. Usually it's about half of a fuel stint. Kevin Burrell has taken the lead on the pit stop exchange. He leads it. Caleb Brashear is second. I believe Rashad Craig is third. And a name we haven't called yet tonight, Jacob, Ty Keela runs along in fourth now. David Hanger is fifth. We are down to just the top 5, having it not pitted. Burrell, Tequila, David Hinger, Caleb Brashear, and Rashad Craig. Although Craig and Brashear are on pit road now. So now it's just Burrell is in pit lane. There goes Tequila into pit lane. David Hinger is the only car left that has not stopped. Now, if the caution flag were to fly right here, David Hinger would be one extremely happy camper, because he would be the only car on the lead lap. Now, everybody else would get around him, but he would be the only car on the lead lap right now if the caution flew for David Hinger. He's going to stay out, it looks like, one more time, Jacob.
Every lap may count. You never know when it comes out. So somebody might come out on cold tires and slide it a little too much. There's a possibility for that. There's a possibility for someone getting iffy on pit exit. You know, the longer you can stay out here, the more of a chance you have of that caution falling. You know, as much as we don't want to see cautions in terms of the accidents maybe happening, but sometimes your strategy can bank on it. You want to see one to get out in front of everybody.
Yeah, and why not? David Hinger, the number 18, he was the final car admitted to the lobby. Why not take a gamble, run it long, and see what happens? Logan Edwards checking in the chat. He says he is devastated, and we're devastated for you too, Logan. Logan is a participant in the INDYCAR shows here on P1. He runs the AMA Stock Car Series. Here comes David Hinger. He's finally going to give up the ghost, lap 55 of 128, and I don't necessarily know that he might not have been gambling on a yellow flag or two and maybe try to make this baby in one stop.
Well, that's quite the distance to still need to make up if he's coming in on 55 here. If he were to pull that off again, he'd still need to come in around lap 110, 11. So he'd still be about 15 or 17 some odd laps short. So it's entirely possible if he gets a late yellow that he'll luck into that being the case, but we'll just have to see.
Yes, indeed. That'll hand the lead back over to Adam Blocker. Now, Blocker did lose about 2 seconds on the pit stop exchange, and that was all in his pit box. And so Adam Blocker may have slid through his pit box or had some sort of a calamity there. No worries, though. He remains 1.8 seconds in the lead. Jason Brophy is second. Matt Taylor in the MadWorks car. It's not as colorful as normal. We'll have to ask him about that if he runs on the podium, but he is third. Sadiq is fourth. Kevin Burrell, the general, is in fifth. Kind of to go through the field here. Matt Hollybaugh is sixth, and there you see Hollybaugh as he runs along. Caleb Brashear is seventh. Brophy runs the fastest lap of the race. Here's the Indy Alliance machine of Rashad Craig. He is eighth. Jeremy Miguel is ninth. And there's Jeremy. And Robin Glakis, Uncle Rob, has made it to 10th. Talk about a guy that moved up through the pit stop cycle. There's Uncle Rob. He's running in 10th place. Good run for him. Seb Alexander has made up some spots as well. He runs it along in 11th, right behind Rob. And there's Alan Berteau. He's going to be classified currently as 12th. In 13th, there's Ty Keeler in the Rogue Racing entry, right ahead of teammate Kyle Clinworth. Olivia Hayward Ohay is 15th. She was one of the earliest stoppers. Ohay is in danger of going a lap down. David Hinger and Olivier Simonu. There's Hinger, and there is Simonu. Both of them are already a lap down, and I don't know. There goes Blocker under Ohay. Clindy and these guys, they are not that far from going a lap down there, Collins.
No, they're not, and this is probably about where the pace differential we might have seen in qualifying is kind of rearing its ugly head in the race here. You know, maybe we're off by a tenth, 2 tenths, and every lap, if we stay green here, that adds up pretty quick and gets us to right about where we are now. So it's going to be a tough break if those guys get put down a lap. You know, there's a big gaggle of cars about 20 seconds back that's going to end up in Adam Blocker's sights sooner rather than later, but we'll just have to see how long that ends up being.
Yes, indeed, as we close in on halfway here at Gateway, lap 62 of 128, right on board with your leader, Adam Blocker. He is looking up at a knot of cars that include Kyle Clinworth, Alan Berteau, Ty Keela, Seb Alexander, and Robin Glakis. They are all running right along together. That's P14 through P10. They are all right immediately in front of leader, and Blocker right now is turning laps about 0.3 of a second quicker than Clindy, and so those boys that are up there at the tail end of the lead lap, they're looking for a yellow maybe and get some adjustments made to their cars because it's going to be very difficult to get a lap back once you lose it. Jason Brophy runs along in second. He's pulled out 3 seconds over Matt Taylor, and I kind of see the strategy here, Jacob. Blocker and Brophy, they're set up for the short runs. Taylor, Sadiq, and Burrell, those are very much long-run cars that don't fall off.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you got to play the trade-off here, right? Is how much do you think you can build a gap over a short run and hold it versus having just better overall pace over the course of that entire long run? You see it a bit more on road courses, especially with the tire options there, is, you know, some people kind of build their setups to handle the black tire better than the reds, so they're going to look for more long-run stability, maybe do some extra fuel saving, lift and coast, all that sort of stuff. So it's always fun to see that kind of come over to the ovals and have that little bit of a cat and mouse game kind of come out and see where the the biggest brain wins to some effect. So we'll see what happens here.
Looking at Ty Keela, he is running along behind Seb Alexander. They've got Rama Iglesias behind him, or in front of him, Clindy and Alan Berteau behind him, and those guys need to get into a hurry because you watch Ty Keela, he's going to drop underneath Seb Alexander. He's going to go to 11th, put Alexander back to 12th, but these guys need to be in a hurry because Adam Blocker is there. He's only about 15 or 20 car lengths behind the car of Alan Berteau.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where when you start being more cognizant of that leader coming up on you, that the more you kind of want to play nice and stay out in front as long as you possibly can, because you never know when that yellow may fall. As late into this green run as we've been, as we're kind of just over halfway here through this 128 lapper here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. We've kind of still got the cameras focused in on this end of the lead lap fight here between the Rogue Racing and IAR cars and Alan Berteau as Adam Blocker works his way past Berteau here. One down, another 4 or 5 to go before he finally clears his train. And Jason Brophy has cleaned the gap very, very nicely now to just within about 0.7 of a second on Adam Blocker here. Will this lap traffic make it easier or harder for either car to make it through the field?
Well, this is something, Jacob, where Adam Blocker has not been in traffic yet. This is really the first traffic that he's encountered, the first sustained traffic. Jason Brophy's been running in it for the entire race, and so he understands what his car needs. Maybe he made an adjustment on that last pit stop. The clean air around here cures a lot of ails, and Blocker's getting a dose of that right now. Now, the good news is for Adam is that that is a team car behind him. And so they're in comms. Those two are in comms together. They're communicating. They understand rules 1 and 2. And so I don't expect to see any wild moves out of Brophy, but I do expect that if he can sneak by Adam Blocker without harming either one of their races, he will absolutely do so. And there you see that that dichotomy of lines. Brophy very high through turns 1 and 2. Adam Blocker all the way to the bottom. And here comes Brophy. He's going to make the lunge toward the lead. Can't quite get there. And you got to wonder, now these are, Adam Blocker is getting into faster cars, Jacob. I mean, that's Clinworth, Alexander, and Ty Keela in front of him. He's getting into some faster cars. And so it's not just a given that he's going to whistle right past these guys. These are cars that are generally considered to be some of the better cars on ovals. There he goes. He's going to get by Clinworth. And so move Adam Blocker to move Kyle Clinworth a lap down. And now Jason Brophy is going to have to deal with the dirty air off of the back of the number 2 machine. But this is one of those situations, Jacob, where it gets harder to make progress through lap cars when they're not really the prototypical lappers anymore, is it?
No, and it's kind of as that pace gap gets tighter on the cars you're catching, the harder it is to pass them, and the more likely you have cars that you're actually battling for position catching up here. And that's kind of what we saw as Blocker approached this initial group of lap traffic to begin with. Is there was a solid maybe 1.5 plus gap at the start of this run here, and now it's within, they're basically bumper to bumper coming through 3 and 4 here off the corner trying to navigate this lap traffic, and that gets hard as we go 3 wide down the front straight.
That's a lap. Seb Alexander on the top. Leader Adam Blocker in the middle. Jason Brophy wants the lead. He's all the way on the bottom. Alexander backs out of it wisely. That'll let Blocker go through on the top side. But here comes Jason Brophy, and he wants the lead. He made a lunge a few laps ago on Adam Blocker down the inside going into turn number 3. He made it 3 wide on the front stretch there. I'd said, their teammates, golly, gee, they shouldn't be leaning on each other too hard. Jason Brophy running that much higher groove. He's proven he's willing to lean on Adam Blocker.
And some of that's got to be trust too, right? As they've known and raced each other for a very long time and know just how much they're able to kind of get away with each other as they work their way through the field at the front here. You know, this isn't their first rodeo. It won't be their last. And that's where that experience pays dividends as they're getting inching closer to Ty Kila ahead of us here, side by side down the backstretch.
It is most assuredly trust and experience. You know, we all have drivers that we've raced against, you know, many nights, right? So Clindy's one of those for me. You know, not necessarily always on the same team or the same side, but at least you knew where that guy was going to go. Now, Brophy and Blocker, and Brophy has made the pass, so put Jason Brophy up to the lead. Adam Blocker is going to be second. Matt Taylor has, you would think, would have been able to capitalize on all this, but Matt Taylor has got his own problems because he has now caught the traffic that was giving, he's catching the traffic that was given Brophy and Blocker fits, and he's also blinking, which is no fun. But we ride on board Matt Taylor, and so, you know, it's kind of strung out. Blocker and Brophy are the best battle on the track. It happens to be for the lead. Now Brophy gets slowed up behind Ty Kila. Will Blocker attempt to return the favor here? He does not. He's not able to do so. Ty Kila, though, he'd like to stay on the lead lap. He's going to bid to the inside of Jason Brophy. Blocker is going to go around the high side of Ty Kila. He's going to have a huge run here. Let's see if Blocker makes the lunge up the inside going down into turn number 1. It looks like he will. So Adam Blocker not able to complete that pass. We talked about how difficult it was to make that work, Jacob. It seems like the middle of the high line in turns 1 and 2 is starting to become preferred, at least if you're battling other cars. The bottom in 3 and 4 does appear to be the way to go as well.
Yeah, and that's not too terribly uncharacteristic to how we normally see this track play out either, right? As you've got kind of the high line with the extra banking through 1 and 2 and the low line where you can kind of cut really, really low on entry and pick the throttle up really early, kind of punch it off the corner, slide all the way out to the wall. It's kind of as classic as Gateway gets here as they continue to kind of work their way through traffic here with a bit more of a gap between both cars now. It's going to be interesting to see now that Blocker's in proper dirty air now, you know, even as we've been working through traffic here. It hasn't always been kind of blocked up, but now that he's behind Brophy here, is he able to stay with him and maybe reel him back in towards the end of this green flag run here?
You know, that's a great question. Now, we're riding on the top of Robin Gallegos' machine, the number 16. And the reason we're going to do that, Alan Berteau has come to pit lane, and he has a black flag too fast entering for Alan Berteau. And so Berteau has kicked off the final round of pit stops with a speeding ticket. The reason I've got Robin Gallegos up here is he's got 4.5 seconds up to Guillermo Miguel. And so you can visually see the gap there. We'll get back out here, and there's Adam Blocker working on Uncle Rob, trying to close that gap down on Robin Gallegos. But if he can get past here, there's not a whole lot else up there. Alan Berteau has now removed himself from the race. The black car in front is Olivier Simonu, but there's not much up there. And so if Blocker can get through on Gallegos, he might have a chance to make some good time here. Meanwhile, the final round of pit stops has started. Jason Brophy kicks that off. He's on pit lane, as is Nick Sudik.
Yeah, and you've got to wonder when the overcut and the undercut starts playing out here. You know, we've got cars pitting a bit earlier here. Blocker's a bit more insistent on trying to put a couple more cars a lap down, maybe build a little bit more of a gap before he comes in. You know, he might be trying to use he's been able to save maybe a little bit more fuel here to stay out a little bit longer, make his stop that little bit shorter so he can come out here and maybe inherit the lead back where he wants to be.
It's a great question. So to answer the question for Logan Edwards, in the chat, Alan Berteau sped on pit road and then disconnected while he was parked in his box. And so Alan Berteau will be credited with 17th. Logan Edwards, of course, out of the race. He is credited with 18th on the day. We're watching Adam Blocker. Final round of pit stops are underway. As you saw, Olivier Simonu, he brought it to pit road. The next car up on the hit list for Adam Blocker, that's Rashad Craig. But Rashad is a pretty fair piece up the road.
Yeah, he's likely far enough ahead where if he goes a lap down, it'll probably be after the pit cycle. And that's even assuming that remains the case, right? It's still about a 2 or 3 second gap from Blocker to him without him pitting. So it's entirely possible that takes a while for Blocker to make up here still.
It is indeed. Matt Taylor, Matt Holliva. So Team Matt has entered the pit lane, as has Jeremy Miguel. We're working 37 to go here at Gateway in the Indy Open finale. Do want to thank all of our loyal viewers here at the P1 Broadcasting Channel. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button, ring the bell to subscribe so you can get in on all of the exciting iRacing action here on P1. It's a full slate. Immediately after this, Collins, Clindy, and a couple other guys, they're going to jump in the P1, the virtual P1 jet, head over to the ISRA race. That's going to be at 9:35 tonight. Where are you guys at tonight?
Road America.
The inaugural road course race in the ISRA. There's Olivia Hayward. She's pulled it into pit lane as well. Nick Sudik, as has been his tradition, he pulled it into pit lane. He came back out and he immediately reels off the fastest lap of the race, and it's almost a tenth quicker than anybody else has done other than Jason Brophy. Meanwhile, Adam Blocker still leads it. He is going to run the overcut. Logan, meanwhile, said that Rashad Craig has a big chance to jump into third in the championship because he's only got 6 weeks counted in the championship. And so that's something that we watch, right? The oval races tend to pay a little bit more in terms of points than the road course races, just the way the iRatings and such work. You get oval ringers like Kyle Clinworth. Caution is on the speedway. Caution is on the speedway. That is Matt Taylor hard into the outside wall.
Have to see what happened to him.
Yeah, most assuredly so. Here's Taylor. He is racing with Nick Sudik. And I believe I'm going to call that a good bit of net code. Let's see if we can't get in any closer on it there. It's not going to make Matt Taylor feel any better. But here it is. I don't know that those two cars touch. Let's give it one more look. This time from the roll bar of Nick Sudik. There is definitely not any contact there between the Fiercely Ford and MadWorks entries, and so just a tough break for Matt Taylor. He will be credited with 16th. That is likely going to be too much damage to repair. That also brings everybody into the pit lane, and a tough break for those drivers that had already stopped because they are going to remain. They're either going to have to take the pass through, they're either going to have to take the wave around, get back on the lead lap, or they are going to be trapped a lap down, and that's Sudik and Brophy. They're going to be back on the tail end of the lead lap. Meanwhile, Ty Keela, Kyle Clinworth, Seb Alexander, they all elect to stay out here. So move Ty Keela to 5th. Clindy is now 6th. Seb is 7th. Those three cars, they are staying out on 43, 45, and 46 lap old tires, respectively. And you got to think here, those guys are just kind of hoping for a quickie yellow.
Yeah, a quick yellow or just being on the lead lap, cycling them maybe closer to the front of cars that would be one lap down. You know, you think that, you know, if they come in pretty early, they stand a chance of maybe staying closer to the front end of the lead lap. But it's a tough gamble to take, especially when you're that deep into the run.
Yes, it is. And so those cars have not pitted unless they're thinking maybe they wait until one lap. No, they're taking the wave around. So there they go. That's Clindy, Tykila, and Seb Alexander. Jason Brophy, Nick Sudik also taking a wave around. There's Guillermo Miguel. He's going to get one of his laps back. Same for Matt Hollibaugh. Tough break for Matt Taylor, though. He is out of the race. He's got the meatball. He will not be back. I do not believe. That car heavily damaged. And who does this benefit? It benefits Adam Blocker. It also benefits that man right there. That's the General Kevin Burrell. He is now second. Caleb Brashear is third. So give a call down to Caleb. There he is. And Rashad Craig has moved it into fourth, knocking on the door of a podium. And that is a sneakily handy. I'm going to call him sneakily handy oval driver in the 11 of Rashad Craig. He is very, very good, especially around these short ovals. Barney's got the green flag in the air. Adam Blocker hits the loud pedal. He's going to lead away from Kevin Burrell. They've got Robin Glakis between them, then Caleb Brashear, then Rashad Craig as they motor down into turn number 1.
David Henger yields to some of these lead lap cars.
Everybody is safely through. They're going to go 3 wide toward the back. Make that 2 wide. That's going to be around the car of Jason Brophy. He gets through Sudik. He gets through that appears to be David Henger. Sudik and Brophy trying to carve their way through. Now they've got the 2 road cars and the Indy Alliance machine of Seb Alexander. Those cars are working laps 47, 49, and 50 of their fuel run. They're going to be due in any minute down the pit lane. Sudik gets by Alexander. Those guys are just praying for an early caution here. We've got action all over the place, though, because Matt Hollibaugh, he's dropped to the inside of Caleb Brashear. He wants to get back up into, he wants to try to get back up on the lead lap. Jason Brophy has now moved around Clindy, and he is fallen in with Tykila. Sudik going to go by Clinworth as well. You got to wonder how long the fuel can hold out in the Indy Alliance and Rogue Racing entries. Here comes Brophy. He's going to pop on Tykila, and there he goes to the bottom. Sudik going to try to follow suit. Almost runs out of real estate.
Yeah, we've got Alexander in. I think Tykila's going to try to come in here this lap or the next one. So it seems like the fuel clock has emptily run out here. So it'll be a matter of time before these guys kind of get shot back to the down a lap.
Yeah, it's worth the gamble. It's worth the gamble if you. It's worth the gamble. You know, you get back on the lead lap. You know, but it's a gamble because if you don't, if you don't get the early caution there, you are most assuredly going to go at least 1 lap, if not 2 laps down. Seb Alexander, by taking that strategy, has fallen out. He would have been even with Anglakis and Hollibaugh, 1 lap down. So fighting for 9th and 10th, he's going to fall to 14th. Clinworth now on pit lane, and we're watching Tykila because he's going to be the next one to follow suit. 51 laps on the fuel for the Rogue Racing entry, and there he comes to the pit lane, almost out of shape, Jacob. But Ty gets it slowed down, load up, hit the pit speed limiter, and he'll come get his final service. The battle is not at the front. Adam Blocker has pulled out to a 1-second lead over the General Kevin Burrell. Meanwhile, Caleb Brashear is about a second behind him. Rashad Craig, he's desperately trying to get past Uncle Robin Glakis. He wants by him because Jason Brophy is coming.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part of this situation, right? Is the lap cars kind of starting in between lead lap cars towards the front here and having to work your way through them before you can kind of get to the battles you want to be fighting and not the ones that you're fighting because you have to.
That's a great point. Rashad Craig, desperate now. He's finally going to, Rob is going to finally move out of the way. We'll see if Anglakis is going to try to pull in behind Rashad Craig. He does. Now Jason Brophy is going to have to take the non-preferred line down to the bottom, and he's going to get a face full of dirty air for one of the first times this evening. Rashad Craig pulls down to the bottom. Jason Brophy has to check up. Anglakis battling Brophy hard down the backstretch, and that's going to open the door for Nick Sudik. He almost goes 3 wide, thinks better of it.
Yeah, that was quite the back down from Sudik come the corner there. He probably had to shift an extra gear down trying to get that thing woed up to make the corner there.
Yes, he did. Meanwhile, I don't think Jason Brophy is very happy with Robin Glakis. We'll jump on board Nick Sudik as he tries to navigate around the outside or inside or wherever he can make it stick of the number 16 machine. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. We do want to thank everybody for joining us here at the P1 Broadcasting Network. 20 laps to go here from the IndyCar Open Series season finale from Gateway. Right now, it's Adam Blocker leading the general, Kevin Burrell. Caleb Brashear is third. The battle, though, is right here in fourth. It's Rashad Craig with that position. Jason Brophy is all over the rear wing of the Indy Alliance machine. It's Power Slide on Indy Alliance, and you've got Fiercely Ford with the best seat in the house, Jacob.
That he does.
There you go, right on the roll bar of Nick Sudik. It's going to be Jason Brophy to the inside of Rashad Craig. Rashad, he's going to try to pull the switchback. Brophy washes up high, almost into the wall. That had to be a netcode hit, but these guys are getting... this is going to start to get fun. Brophy now runs fourth. He's made it past Rashad Craig. Sudik is sixth, Craig in fifth. The general, Kevin Burrell, he is running second, and he's loving the view out of his rearview mirror. There it is. He doesn't see anything. Caleb Brashear is over a second back, and then it's another second and a half back to Jason Brophy.
Yeah, and this is where you're going to kind of see who's got the car to make the run to the end here, right? We're getting a bit of a shorter run this time around. You know, I want to say we got a restart about 10, 15 laps ago. So it'll be about the 30 some odd lap run to the end, 40 some odd lap run to the end. Looking more like 30. So that shorter run car that we kind of saw that Brophy and Blocker had throughout the opening portions of this race might be what ultimately wins out here. It'll be interesting to see how much more can Brophy claw back before the end of this one.
It would, and it'll be interesting to see. Nick Sudik has stayed with Jason Brophy a lot better this time than he did previously. Brophy here has cleared Craig. Sudik has cleared Craig. So move Jason Brophy to fourth, Nick Sudik to fifth, Rashad Craig to sixth. The lead is not in dispute. Adam Blocker is still about 9/10 of a second ahead of the general, Kevin Burrell. Caleb Brashear is another second behind them in third. The battle is right here, folks. It is fourth, fifth, and sixth. There's Jason Brophy as he works it off of turn number 4. Down the main straightaway, he's going to come to get 14 laps to go, trying to reel in Matt Hollybaugh. The problem with it, though, here, Jacob, is that those lap cars, they don't have to move. And I don't know that they necessarily will, because they're all fighting for position as well. Hollybaugh and Glakis are right up there with one another. If Hollybaugh pulls over, he's immediately going to be passed by Uncle Rob.
Yeah, that's, again, just another one of those things that we get here in IndyCar racing where those lap cars aren't really super keen to kind of roll over because there's still a fight for them to be had themselves. So, you know, the longer they can kind of hold you off and fight for it and not have the opportunity for those lap cars to maybe work through a train with you, the better they'll be able to place come to the end of this race.
100%. Let's check back in on the leader, Adam Blocker. There's the interval. You see it between Adam Blocker, the Dark Knight, and the general, Kevin Burrell. Oh, it's right on about a second, and it's been that way for quite some time. The third car in line there, Caleb Brashear. There's Caleb. He is another second behind. He's another second behind Kevin. And then they've got the lap. He's got the lap car, and probably his best friend right now is the lap car of Matt Hollybaugh. Hollybaugh runs 7th. But he is in between Jason Brophy and Caleb Brashear, and you got to think that Caleb Brashear is Matt Hollybaugh's biggest fan at this point.
Well, that fan status might have just gone down a bit because I think Hollybaugh might have just let Brophy through, coming through 3 and 4 there. So he'll be mounting the charge with about 10 to go here. We'll see if he can make something happen. Yes,
he did. We've been informed by the statistician of the chat. That's Logan Edwards. He said that Caleb Brashear could finish 3rd in the championship as well. Kevin Burrell, with a finish ahead of Nick Sudik here, would lock up the season championship. Nick Sudik has 2nd. The front 2 are only in dispute about who will finish 1st and 2nd. 3rd, though, is very much in play. Logan Edwards has it now. It could go to Caleb Brashear. It could go to Rashad Craig, depending on drops. And that's something that's fairly unique about the Indy Open Series, and it's something that we don't talk about very often. But you've got it takes quite a bit of skill to be a champion in this series, because there are great road racers, Jacob. There are great oval drivers, but there are not very many great oval and road course drivers. Kevin Burrell has proven tonight that he is much better than advertised on the ovals, at least the short ones. Jason Brophy, we know, is a great oval racer, but it's one of those things where you have to be good at both. I wish they would go back to the schedule where it was 6 and 6, because then you had to do 2 of the other discipline rather than just 1.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we're always going to struggle with is people want more of one versus the other, and it's kind of wherever the chips fall, right? Especially at least with the way that the license system works within iRacing is, to run the ovals in the road series, you need a road license of the same level, which I believe is B.
Right.
So it makes it difficult for maybe some of more of those oval specialist guys to get into the series to begin with. Not to mention that, like, this car is basically a planted spaceship. We talk about it quite frequently that it's a tough car to come to grips with on all the different track varieties that you get here. It's a niche within a niche, if you will, and getting everybody on the same page of trying to be fast everywhere is really, really hard, and that's why the greats of this series have kind of just been the greats of auto racing on the whole over the course of the past, century.
Yeah, that's very true. It is the only series where you have to run road courses, street courses, short ovals, medium length ovals, super speedways, 500-mile races. There are 500-mile races, and then some of the races, on street courses, they're under 200 miles. They're a mere trophy dash. Like, you go to St. Pete or something like that. I think that race is only 190 miles long. It's barely long enough to be considered a Grand Prix. But it's that way for television reasons, where they've got to fit the race into a certain amount of time. And so you just have to be good at so many things. Kevin Burrell has proven that. Adam Blocker has proven that. Caleb Brashear is in the process of proving that. As we watch Kevin Burrell, he's going to put a lap on Olivia Simonu. But we'll go back up and let's just enjoy the pure talent that is Adam Blocker. He leads it by 1.5 seconds over Kevin Burrell. And there you see Kevin. He's in the frame, but not by much. Blocker is going to come through this next time. He'll get the white flag. It'll be 1 lap to go here at Gateway. Blocker is, barring a catastrophe, going to win the season finale here. Kevin Burrell is going to comfortably win his championship. But Jason Brophy is now at the back of Caleb Brashear. And so we're going to flip back to this, because Brophy's going to have one more run. Net codes the wall a little bit. He did not actually hit that, but he may have a chance here at the line, Collins.
Yeah, it's going to be one last push through the air to try to maybe take it at the line, but I don't think he's got enough of a run going here.
Not close enough. Caleb Brashear will hold on for the podium. Jason Brophy is going to be 4th. Nick Sadiq is going to come home 5th. That was a fairly fun race. Even though it was fairly strung out, we only had the one caution. So kudos to these guys. We're going to be out of here in exactly an hour for time of race. That's not bad, Jacob.
Not bad at all.
Speaking of not bad, Adam Blocker, he's going to take the Indy Open Series at Gateway by 1.6 seconds over the general Kevin Burrell. Caleb Brashear will come home 3rd. Jason Brophy, Nick Sadiq round out the top 5. Rashad Craig, Matt Hollybaugh, Jeremy Miguel, David Hinger, and Olivia Hayward round out the top 10. In 11th, it'll be Uncle Robin Glakis. Ty Keela is 12th. Kyle Clinworth, 13th. Seb Alexander, 14th. Olivier Simonu will bring home 15th. Matt Taylor, Alan Berteau, and Logan Edwards will round out the starting field. We had 18 cars for the record. It is an SOF of what? Help me out here, Jacob. 4705.
4705.
47.05. So not a bad showing here for the finale.
One last hurrah for the current stand of Gateway as we know and love it.
That's right. We will be getting a new scan of this track, and so I'm looking forward to that, actually. This track, although it is one of my favorites, is definitely in need of a refresh for sure. There we go. We've got everything ready to go. We'll get the results out of here, and let's see if we've got anybody in the waiting room. I've got, I believe that is Caleb Brashear. Let's go ahead and bring him up.
Cost me like, oh.
Caleb, you've got Mark and Jacob Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
A copy.
I'll tell you what. Were you how ecstatic were you to see that caution flag fly when it did?
I was very ecstatic because not only because wasn't even looking at podium. I was looking at fuel when I did, and then I scroll over. It said I was in third, and Rashad was right behind me. I'm like, oh, and I knew like the leaders were basically already pitted. I'm like, oh, something can happen here, but I'm excited for the podium, but I think that just clinched me the Division II championship for Open. So
yeah, there you go. Logan Edwards was saying that you might be in for third overall, depending on how drops and so forth shake out. And so, congratulations on that. That's a huge accomplishment, winning the Division II in this series. Jacob, what do you have for Caleb this evening?
How did you feel your car kind of fit in? We saw a number of guys have some things that they felt like it looked like their cars were stronger on a longer run. Did you feel like that short run to the end here suited your car's strengths, or was there maybe more laps to be had that would have really saw your car kind of push its way forward?
Honestly, like this is my first time driving Gateway. I legit bought the track like 2 hours ago. So I was like, that first entire stint, I was still trying to figure it out. And by the end of the first stint, in dirty air, it actually felt kind of good. And the second stint, it was just getting loose like all the time through 3 and 4. But it actually felt kind of nice in 1 and 2. And then when I was following Burrell in the last stint, it felt really, really good. So I don't know if it's necessarily a short stint or me just being in dirty air versus clean air. But yeah, car felt really good. Thanks to Apex Trano for giving me the setup. So yeah.
Well, it's going to be the last hurrah for those setups. We're going to get a new scan of the track. We're going to get a new scan of the car, some updated physics, and so all the blood, sweat, and tears in the setups that have been around for so long, they might be going away. But Caleb, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for dropping in the booth. Congratulations on not only the Division II championship, if that holds, but perhaps a podium finish overall in the series. Friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs. The floor is yours.
I mean, I did this last time when I got podium at Daytona. I dedicate every good result, whether it be sim racing or real life with Lemons or SCCA. I dedicate always to Scott Reddick. But other than that, on a more jokingly side, Electric Callboy for the greatest pre-race music. But other than that, yeah, I really got nothing else.
All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping in, hanging out, and Caleb, keep going fast, having fun, buddy. We'll see you next season.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That is Caleb Brashear. He is going to run third here today at Gateway. For the man who finishes second, it's a very familiar face, the General Kevin Burrell. Kevin, I'll ask the same question to you that I did to Caleb. How ecstatic were you to see that yellow?
Fairly ecstatic. I mean, to be honest with the situation, I didn't really think I had a chance to move up to the front or to beat Blocker once the yellow came out. But it was certainly nice to get boosted to the front. This week, of course, our focus is, with the update coming for the IAS week and next week. But,
sure.
I knew that we still had the temps were really low today, so I mean, it was not too dissimilar from the night race last season, and well, I mean, I guess it was a bit different, but the overall setup idea still worked. So yeah, I mean, I was happy to see it. Obviously, I knew that finishing somewhere in decent points would give me the season win, and once I saw Adam, quite quick and really just hard to do anything to, that was kind of where I settled into. So I was happy to keep it where I did.
There you go, Jacob.
How do you feel like this is going to kind of prepare come the wipe here? You feel like we're kind of anticipating some solid changes, some setup, big overarching setup changes. But do you feel like that there's still stuff that you could take away from races like this, going into essentially a clean slate?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say. I think, I mean, the track's going to change, the car's just overall going to change. I think a real question is how heat sensitive the new tire is going to be, at least for me. I felt like we were in a really, really good place for Gateway at the moment in both low and really high temps. So yeah, I mean, there's things we could take away. I think in terms for me, it was that I think my entry to 1 and 2 was just never really right. I never really felt confident the whole race, but I got a little more feeling of what you can get away with the tools and so on. And I mean, that's always good. More experience. I'd done a really hot race here and a really cold race here recently, but nothing kind of in between like this. So we'll see if it carries over at all to next season, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. And I did have kind of a follow up to that. Most would if I said the name Kevin Burrell, most would immediately say that guy's a great road racer, but maybe not think of your oval driving. You've put together some really solid results on ovals, not only in this season. You had a pretty good run at Indianapolis too, and so kudos to you, man. I mean, I know that you've worked really hard on that. Privately, I know that you've worked really hard on that. So congratulations for.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely, Hamilton's been, of course, a big help, and now, of course, with Nick on the team too, he's the more people who are motivated and running, the easier it is for me to ask questions and figure things out. I put quite a bit of effort into Indy, and I mean, honestly, getting a top 10 in both fixed and open broadcasts, like, if you told me that was going to happen at the start of the week or like before Indy season, there was no way I would have believed it. So I was very happy with that. I mean, but there's still a lot to do. I still, there's a lot for me to learn. I think it's just a matter of overdriving less and, being proactive on the tools instead of reactive. So that's something that I really need to work on. I mean, today, both the first 2 stints, I nuked my fronts in ways that just, I know the set was capable of not doing it, and yet I still did. So really no excuse there. So yeah, I mean, I'm working on it, and yeah, I mean, definitely going forward, especially with the setup reset, I'm hoping to get in more of like a ground level on work on all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited, and I'm glad you've noticed the efforts.
Yeah, kudos to you. Like I even said it at the beginning, and I wasn't trying to be, I wasn't trying to say anything other than, hey, if because it was the championship for you was not decided here. Nick is noted as a very good oval racer, and that has to be said. But kudos to you, man, because we definitely see it.
Yeah, I mean, he made the call to go in early, try and get the undercut on Brophy. I didn't. I thought there was always a chance of something. You know how it is in the Open. There's always a chance of something, and I thought that was my best shot, and there it was. So
for certain, sure. Before we let you out of here, friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours. You're the champ, my man.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, the guys at Fiercely Forward, everybody, the whole team, P1 Docs, of course, my parents who, have watched a billion of these probably by now, and everyone really who's been supportive and friendly since the beginning of me doing this, because I never really thought I'd get season wins ever in anything, and here we are now with 2 in a row. Maybe not at the peak of Indy's heat, but I'll take it. IAS is looking good too. I'm hoping, last time, I mean, I came into this current version of the car very late compared to a lot of people who run it now, and all I can say is that if I'm getting in from the ground on the new revision, I'm very excited to see what I can do. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we will
Thanks.
see you at the next one. Enjoy the week
Yeah, see you
off.
soon. Cheers. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That is the General Kevin Burrell, and we'll get to the man who administered the clinic tonight. That is Adam Blocker. And Adam, you made it look easy, although Brophy gave you a bit of a challenge there in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Jason was faster overall, but he definitely went off strategy there because he short-filled in that first stop, which is why he pitted early for the last stop and what ended up catching him out. But so his car was a lot lighter there in that middle stint, and yeah, he was definitely faster than me at that point, and kind of got by me. And there wasn't, I tried my best to keep him behind and everything, but I was also just cognizant of the fact that there was a lot of the race to go, and because if it had gone green from there, I would have had better tires and everything for the last stint. So yeah, just kind of being patient, but it was a fun battle when we had it.
For certain, sure. Jacob?
We've kind of been talking about car reset, big changes coming for the IndyCar and even Gateway as a track. Obviously, you've got some more real-world background with some of the stuff we might be getting our hands on here. How do you feel like that you'll be able to kind of carry over some of that real-world knowledge, come into a bit of the updates we have coming?
I mean, probably like 0 to 5%. I mean, if you look at a setup sheet, it's very different from one to the other, and I don't know if we're gonna get the hybrid in this next one or not. I haven't been paying enough attention, but I know that the main thing will be a different tire model, and that could do anything. I mean, it could be super realistic, it could be super unrealistic. We just have to see what it does. Hopefully, it's hopefully it's good, and hopefully like for short ovals, it'd be good if we had more tire deg to match real life. But like the road course model was pretty solid as it was, so hopefully that doesn't drastically shift too much. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I don't really think, real life experience will matter that much. But it's more about just grinding hours on the sim to find what works best.
I think they said that the weight for the hybrid will be there, but they're not actually going to put it in the car yet. So the weight will be there, but the extra, what is it? I don't even know how much.
So it's 85 pounds. Well, 85 pounds of weight, but then the hybrid when you deploy it is like 50 horsepower. So
there you go. So for us, it'll be 85 pounds of lead in the back, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, kudos to you, Adam. For first of all, it's good to see you. And friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody at Power Slide for the work on the setup that we did back in whenever the Pro Series was here. Obviously, it was a good setup then, and still a good setup. And it was good to race it one more time. It was good to race with the guys on Monday. So thanks to everyone for the good race, and thanks to y'all for supporting the series. And yeah, see y'all sometime soon.
Absolutely. Get out of here. Go celebrate, my friend.
Yep. See ya.
That is Adam Blocker. He is going to be the winner here tonight at Gateway to close out what is really, Jacob, an era in iRacing IndyCar. You've got new scans of tracks coming in. The car's going to get a refresh. The tires are going to get a refresh. We talked about the additional weight for the hybrid. We're going to get rain tires in this car, and so that's something that we'll look forward to on road courses next year. We don't race on ovals yet. Brian Barnhart is not the chief steward here in iRacing, and so there will be no rain on ovals. But a significant refresh, and probably one of the first ones of those in a long time. And so I'm really looking forward to what the next season brings in terms of variability. Anytime you have change, it can shake things up, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that too.
Yeah, we'll see some new tracks, some new cars, some new ideas kind of come to the forefront. We may see a rain race or two next season. That'd be interesting to see as people kind of adjust to that being a variable in the hat of iRacing coming into the next season here. So lots of change, good things coming. That's what we're hoping for.
Absolutely. We do thank everybody here, everybody for watching us here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. Do want to thank everybody for your patience as well. If you haven't already done so, make sure you smash the like button on the video. ring the bell, subscribe to the channel. Do us a solid. It'll help us move up in the always fun YouTube algorithm game and get these drivers and teams the exposure that they deserve. We are going to be off here next week. It is week 13, and so Championship Monday will give Collins, Clindy, and myself the week off. I do want to let everybody know that despite that, we do have a full slate here at P1 tonight. Immediately following this, we're going to have the Internet Sim Racing Association round from Road America. That'll be a 9:35 start. Gary Gazzo, Luis Gonzalez Nunez on the call tomorrow night. The flagship, it's Championship Tuesday in the Indy Oval Series. Wednesday, the Horizon IndyCar Series continues to be off. Thursday and Friday are the American Motorsport Association Grand National and Truck races. Saturday, we'll have the iRacing INDYCAR Series round. Sunday is a big one, Jacob. That is the Votive Indy Derby, Sunday night, 8 o'clock, right here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. And here at P1, we do want to give a special thanks to all of our friends, all of our families that allow us to do this, because we do have a ton of fun doing it. I want to thank all the competitors. It has been an awesome inaugural season here on P1 for the Indy Open Series, and we do want to thank all of the competitors for that as well. Congratulations to our champion, Kevin Burrell, for going back-to-back in his pursuit of iRacing IndyCar excellence. Do also want to give a special shout-out to all of the first responders, the police, the fire, the firemen, the EMTs, the nurses that work the emergency room at night, all the people that do the hard job so that we can lay our heads down on the pillows in peace. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. Jacob, you got to go race. I'm going to go get ready for Season 3, buddy.
You got it, Mark.
Good night, everybody.